Hello, everyone. I am here today with Adam Gragg, life coach extraordinaire, and today is International Coaching Day. So happy International Coaching Day to everyone. Adam, thank you for being with me. Tell us a little bit about how you discovered coaching.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been a family therapist for a couple decades. And originally, I was going through a situation where my career I was struggling, and I decided to hire a coach. And it was extremely helpful. And that was probably in 2006. Um, anyway, and it inspired me. And I've always been somebody, even that got me into the counseling profession, who really valued, maybe not always, my parents probably argue with this, but saw the potential in people and wanted to grow personally, and fascinated me, and I wanted to learn more about it. And it may even, if I look back, it may even have been one of the catalysts to getting involved in the therapy profession initially. Just that attraction to, hey, we can grow, we have untapped potential, and someone walking alongside us can help us with that.
Yeah. So how did you get involved in coaching then? Once you hired a coach, this is what I want to do. What was the next step for you?
Well, I'm kind of I'm slow to change, unfortunately. And so I took a long time just tinkering in it and reading books and learning and things. But it took a while before I decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get the training that I need to get certified. And so eventually, probably 5 years later, I started to take the classes and entered into a program that would lead me towards getting certification through the ICF. Yeah. But man, probably 5 years of a slow, just, okay, eventually I'll jump in and do this. And it was going to make me uncomfortable because I think I was used to it being in the therapy role. And the more I learned about it, it was like, this is very different and very unique. And it's not the same thing at all. It has some it can complement my skills as a family therapist. I can still utilize them, but there are a lot of things I have to learn.
So what surprised you the most once you got into coach training?
One thing that surprised me was that it's less stressful than therapy. I have to do less work than I do as a family therapist, as a therapist. And maybe it's because the clients are at a different place, and maybe it's because I just can step back and let them do the work. I still struggle with that. I still want to kind of jump in and put my therapy hat on, but less work. I don't have to fix anybody.
So what other skills? You mentioned there are a lot of skills in coaching that are different from therapy. What are some other skills that you utilize in your coaching that are different from your therapy work?
Well, in coaching, silence I use a lot, letting them think and process, letting them lead. They come to me with an issue and they get to set the agenda, and I let go of whatever agenda I might have. I still struggle with that, but in coaching, it's the questions that I get to ask them. And it does apply as well to therapy, but it's less keep putting it back on them. And I'm not fixing you. That's not my role. That's not, sure, I'll give you tools, but it's on you. I'm just going to keep asking you questions and get you to dig deeper and go to places you may not have even known you wanted to go to, but through the process, you realize you want to go there. And then you end up really asking yourself some of those same questions, some of those questions. So you're going deeper, and it's fun. Like with therapy, and I'm not saying I don't like I still work in that field. I'm still, I like to get families talking and dealing with their stuff, and people figuring out what's really keeping them stuck. So don't get me wrong there, but a lot of times it feels like with coaching, man, I'm energized, I'm excited, and if you're watching this and you're one of my therapy clients, I still like you. It's not that I don't like helping in that role. It's just man, sometimes it's like, wow, I learned more than you did in this session. And this is exciting. And you're inspiring me. And I want to keep going and doing this. So there's a lot of that fun to it. That was a surprise for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's really neat. So how do you find that line between your coach hat and your therapist hat? I can imagine that when you're in a coaching session, there may be times that you want to say something that you would say if you had your therapist hat on. How do you
Well,
manage that?
great. That's a great question. I'm a work in progress. I would not say I've totally figured that out because I still am functioning in both of those roles. But the line I would have to say comes from that future orientation. Where are we going? And we already are there. We don't have to go back. You can go back on your own and maybe you're going to be inspired to do that. But how are we moving forward to get to that next place?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I have that temptation to go back, then I feel like I'm doing therapy. It may be that they're doing that on their own or they're doing that with somebody else, but it's that framework that helps me to remember that we're going somewhere different, exciting, fun, new. You have it in you already. Your potential's already there. And a very much hope orientation, like hope that there's this potential, there's this possibility, there's this great thing that's ahead, that if me as the client can get there and tap into that and stay there, that I'm going to go ahead and find that next thing in my life. And I'm going to find the inspiration in the process as well. But it's hard. It's hard. I've been a therapist too long. I can't just say, hey, I'm no longer a therapist, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sure. And I'm sure there's a lot of skills that you've learned as a therapist that are applicable as a coach. I'm sure you have the ability to meet the client where their greatest point of need is. And so you have a level of expertise that some coaches who have not had that therapy training don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's your favorite client? And I don't mean like name the person, but
Sure.
What traits or qualities exist in your favorite client?
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite clients are ones that identify that they are going through a transition where it could be beneficial to have these times of self-reflection and knowing yourself and discovering yourself and have somebody to ask them those questions. They really recognize that this is a situation where I could benefit from hiring somebody as a coach. And they come excited, they're motivated. They may not be motivated every single time, but there's a catalyst to it. Usually it may be retirement. It may be that they're changing jobs. It may be that they're promoted. There's some kind of transition in their life, and they're recognizing the need to have somebody there with them. And they're ready. They're just ready.
So are there particular, so they're ready to do something different. They're ready to do something new. They're hopeful for the future. Are there particular struggles that you would say you help them overcome in order to find that future for themselves?
Yeah. Well, a common struggle, I would say, that I hate to be that universal with my language, but fear is a big deal. And fear meaning that we have something, it's generally that there's some kind of mindset that we have that we don't think we can do this thing that we want to do. We don't have the confidence. Somebody maybe has told us we can't do this, but probably we're telling ourselves, and you call it anxiety, call it worry, but we're stuck in our heads. We're so close to the problem that it's creating tunnel vision, and we don't have the space from it. We don't have the ability to step back from it and actually see it clearly. So I would say that's a common problem people have. They don't even know that they're being held back by these fears. And that if they can say and identify and have these moments where they have clarity, it's like, wow, I can do something about this. There are some actions I can take, and I want it more than I want to make the changes. And so that's such a common thing, and people figuring out what's really holding them back so they can make the changes they need to make. And my perspective is that people, when they have clarity, they transform their lives. When they have that clarity that says, this is clear, then that is their yes. That's the thing they're going to move towards. And they're not going to be held back by the fear the same way. So I'm coming at the fear differently with coaching clients and counseling clients, but they're still having to deal with that in some way.
Yeah. So for those people who have not made that leap to hire you or to hire a coach, what would you say to them to get them over that initial hurdle of fear of just reaching out to you?
Yeah. I would say that that fear is often an indication of something that you should do and should challenge yourself with, and that you're not alone, and that admitting and knowing that you're not alone and stepping into the fear is the first step of changing anything. We have to admit we have a problem and actually need some kind of assistance, or admit that we have a broken leg or a hurt leg. That is what leads us to going to the doctor, or actually asking for help, being vulnerable. So it's worth being vulnerable. And those times that you are letting go and saying, I'm putting myself out there. I don't know what the result is going to be. I'm not going to control it. I'm not going to even try and control all the variables in the situation. And I know it could go south. I know I could be rejected. I could be hurt. It may not be the best. Who knows, but I'm still going to grow in the process. So reach out.
Yeah. Sometimes the things we fear the most are the things that we need the most in life. So, yeah. So how can people trust that they are in good hands with you? I know you have an ACC credential. Tell us a little bit about that credibility factor that's so important in the coaching industry.
Yeah, and I tell clients all this when I do I give clients a free consultation whenever they're interested, and it comes back to my core values that I believe in deciding. The name of my company is called Decide Your Legacy. I think you have to make decisions in life and choices, and that's where your power lies, because you're intentionally making choices that you believe intuitively are the best for you. And so I'm not the best fit for every client, and the freedom to say, hey, we don't connect, or I'm not feeling comfortable intuitively, my gut, I shouldn't have to convince somebody and be in this sales role. I'm a soft sell, and I'll give you information, but you have to feel good about this. And then you're going to find, and you may have to talk to a couple people. You may have to do some research. You may have to, and so then you're going to say, okay, this is somebody I feel good with. It could be based on their specific life experiences. So I do a lot of career stuff because I've had my own career challenges. I've had my own personal challenges that can sometimes relate, and people may know that I specialize in those areas, relate to transitions and things. So anyway, you're going to get a gut, I believe, intuitive feeling that this is a good fit for me. And it still can be scary, but trust your gut. I say that a lot to clients. Trust your gut.
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about one of your favorite positive impacts that you've had on a client. And I know as coaches, we're supposed to detach ourselves from the outcome, but we also have positive experiences with outcomes. So tell us about your favorite.
Boy. Wow. Okay. And this is kind of the cool part about coaching. And I get this from both counseling and as I'll hear back from people years later and they've made a change. And so, boy. Well, I just heard from somebody that made a career change, and they said that making the change, and they wouldn't have made the change without coaching, and that making the change is exactly what prepared them to handle all the transition with COVID and the situation as they face it. They're much more confident, and they know they can handle it. They have a better career fit, but they feel like they can navigate this situation in a much healthier way. They had to make some really hard choices to make the change, but just very grateful. And of course, when they come and reach out to me, I say, hey, will you give me a Google review? Something. I mean, you got to keep those things, but
Yeah.
that has just, they come back and they remind you that, boy, they had to do all the hard work, but you were blessed to be in a position where you got to see them make these decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's gratifying as a coach, I'm sure. So you mentioned earlier that you learn a lot from your coaching clients, and I'm wondering, as a coach, how has that transition into coaching and your experience with coaching now impacted your life?
Wow. Well, the thing that comes to mind, just yesterday, I had some friends tell me, I was just talking about business things, and they were telling me, and these are good friends. On two different occasions, they were saying, Adam, you sound like a victim, or you're negative. And I thought, first of all, I'm like, I don't like hearing that, I mean, so I become defensive. And then I think, okay, that's true. I got to own that, and that can help me to change. And so the coaching clients that I have, they may not know this, but a lot of times I get to see through them how easily I can talk myself out of things. How easily I can play the victim, how easily I can see the fear and not the potential. And it consistently keeps me, it's not easy because I have to do my own work, but it reminds me that I need the same thing that I'm getting a chance to offer.
Wow.
I'm inspired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm grateful for those friends that have the courage to say, hey, look, Adam, you may not see this, but because in a sense, they're my coaches a lot of times, because they're asking me the questions. And sometimes they're the ones that are just feeding back to me what they see, which I think a great coach does that. Right. They don't judge, but they say, hey, here's something that I perceive or I've noticed, and you're having to think about a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So as a coach, that's what you help them do, is see things from a different perspective. And it's interesting that as a coach, you're able to do that yourself with your own life.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all are. I mean, we all have our blind spots in life.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, exactly. And the last, yeah, I'm trying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned your website is decideyourlegacy.com. If someone wanted to get in touch with you, would they reach out via your website, or what's your favorite way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, yeah, they can get in touch with me through my website at decideyourlegacy.com. They can email me at adam@decideyourlegacy.com. Okay. And that's an excellent way to reach out and check those messages frequently. And we can, if you're interested, we could do a free consultation session. And same thing I tell everybody is that I'll point you towards other coaches if they're a better fit, or just happy to just be a resource for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. So, and I think that's an important comment you made, that you just brought up, that if a coach is not a good fit, we all know coaches. So we can happily refer you to someone else and find someone who is going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, you are a member of ICF Heartland, and a fairly new member, one of our newer members. Yes. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to affiliate with ICF Heartland.
Just like-minded people that I can learn from. I think I can learn from everybody, but they're in the same, they're colleagues. They can give me more insight into the profession, help me to stay on track. They do a lot of just fun stuff. So I've noticed the events, I've kind of followed it, just haven't really jumped in. And I went to I think my first event at Gina Marx's house. So boy, that was probably in January, December, something like that. Maybe it was longer but it was great, and connected with a bunch of people that have been very supportive and encouraging. And I'm a big believer that we gotta go through life with support, and can't go it alone. We just deal with life much better with support.
Right. Right. Well, speaking of support, we have several comments that have come through on Facebook. A lot of people really agreeing with and resonating with a lot of the statements you said. Serena said, "Beautifully said, Adam. It shows we are all human, and I noticed in coaching, I am growing myself." Gina Mark says, "Coaches need their own coaches." And Seth Bate says, "I would much rather a client have a great experience with another coach than an okay experience with me."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have, and that's one way of knowing if you have a good coach, because personally, I think if I go to my doctor and my doctor acts as if every situation he's the best fit for, then there's a level of real humility that you get from people that, okay, we're a team. So,
yeah. And I don't know if this is possible, but Gina Marks is asking to see Max the therapy dog.
oh my gosh. Oh, let's see here. Okay. Hey, Max, come here. Come on. Yep. Oh, here he is. Come on up. Hey, some people want to see you. This is one of the great things about seeing all my clients from home now. Come on up. All right, this is Max. This is my dog. And he loves having me home now a lot. So, and he's very, very trusting. So, anyway.
Although he's looking like, I don't know about this. All these people are watching me.
There's a lot of people watching you right now, Max. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, thank you, Max.
My lap. See, he does. You can see right here. But there he is.
Yeah.
All right, Max. Thank you.
So sweet. Thank you for doing that.
All right.
All right. Is there any, I shouldn't say is there, that was a beginning of a closed-ended question. What final message would you like to leave everyone with before we sign off?
That you're the expert on your own life. You're the expert on your own life, and know yourself. And go Ducks.
And go Ducks. All right. Thank you, Adam. Those of you listening, thank you for joining in. We had some really great comments come through, and I apologize I couldn't read all of them. But tune in tomorrow. We will be talking with transition coach Samantha Lane, same time, same place. And those of you wanting to participate in International Coaching Day, we are challenging you to donate 1 hour of pro bono coaching and go to our website and fill out the survey. The survey is also in the emails that was sent out this morning. And you'll receive some badges that you can use in your promotional material to market yourself. Marketing ourselves as coaches that care and coaches that give back to our community is one way that we get the word out about ourselves and about our organization, and certainly about the profession of coaching. So we encourage all of you to participate in that. And with that, Adam, I thank you again, and I'll see you another time.
Thanks for having me. You did a great job.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.